Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm so sorry I have not posted in like 2 or 3 weeks. It's been like 3 weeks low key. By the time you see this video, it probably is going to be 3 weeks. And I do have a reason for that, not making an excuse, but I was completely caught off guard. So every time I prepare to come on here and talk to you guys, I don't want to just come on here and talk about myself without it being something that is going to help someone or something that I personally lived through. I never want to get on here and just talk to you guys and not have gone through what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. I don't feel qualified to come on here and talk about just anything. So if I have not had a particular experience in a certain area, I personally am not going to come on here and talk about it. So there may not be a video every single week, but just know that when I do post a video, it is going to be something that I can directly relate to, that I can give you guys insight on, my testimony, my story, the whole nine. So this video might be heavy. I think I am currently at peace in this moment right now. Before, I wouldn't say that I would not be able to get through this video without crying and completely just falling apart on camera. But I do believe the peace of the Lord literally came over me right before I started to record this video. And I'm so thankful for that because I was very, very nervous. But I do believe that this is going to help someone. It's going to free someone. And honestly, it might even free me from something that I didn't realize was keeping me bondage. So we're going to get into it because it is going to be quite long, very detailed. So right before we get into this video, I do want to give a disclaimer. There are going to be some heavier topics speaking on miscarrying, miscarriages, pregnancy, all of that. If you are currently going through something that involves any of those topics, I personally would not watch this video at this moment. I do believe that it is going to bless someone and free someone that is watching it. But if you're not in a headspace to watch this, I would click off of this video now. And also, I don't know how censored I'm gonna be because I don't want this video to get removed or suppressed. So if you guys do see me just pop words up on the screen instead of verbally saying it, or I block out me saying it and I just put it on the screen, that is obviously because of YouTube. I do not want YouTube to remove this video. I don't want it to get suppressed. So I'm going to try to be as detailed as possible or as detailed as I can without this video getting removed or flagged or whatever the case may be. So let's get into this video. So I apologize, my computer is in the corner of the screen because that is how I'm able to see myself. I'm literally a good like 7 or 8 feet away from my camera, so I cannot see. So I need this to be right here for my viewing. So I apologize if that's bothering anyone. But basically, I want to start with like a little bit of a backstory on my childhood, which is already something that I don't really remember a whole lot about. I'm not even gonna lie. I was realizing this probably like a couple years ago that I just don't remember anything before a certain age. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt some type of way about that because you hear people say like, oh, when I was 3, when I was 5, when I was 6, I couldn't tell you anything. When I look at pictures of when I was a baby, nothing stands out to me. Nothing is like a memory isn't unlocked. Like there's nothing, like I just don't remember anything. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I know that when you don't remember stuff, that's because you've suppressed it, or it's just time has gone by and you just forgot. I don't know, but I don't remember a whole lot of my childhood, but I do know from talking to my dad and obviously growing up that my parents got a divorce when I was a baby. So I wasn't really aware of what was happening when it happened because I was a baby. I didn't know what was even going on at the time. But as I got older, obviously, and I grew up, I realized that I was in a broken home. So I lived primarily with my father. That is who raised me. And I would see my mom every summer. So we would just go and be with her for like spring break, summer break. We would just go to where she lived and spend that time with her or whatever the case may be. And then we would go back home. That was my life for all of my life that I can remember up until I graduated and went off to the military. So as you guys know, I grew up in a home with a step parent and my father, and then my stepsisters and my sister from my mom and my dad. So that dynamic in the beginning was good. But if you guys watch my testimony, which I don't know if I'll ever record a full testimony. I don't know if that's necessary because the first one that I recorded kind of gives you a backstory somewhat. And then this one is just some of my life as an adult. So I don't know. I'm sure a lot more is going to happen in my life. That's just a part of life, and I'll probably record another one. But if you guys watched that video, you've seen the dynamic of the household. It was very toxic. Now looking back, I was very uncomfortable. I felt like my stepmother didn't like me. I felt like uncomfortable, unsafe, not in a like life-threatening type of way, but I just didn't feel safe in my own home. Like I just buried myself in my room and I just didn't really talk much. I kept to myself. That was my way of protecting myself at the time. So seeing that my mom and my dad got divorced and seeing their relationship as I was growing up, very like they practically hated each other. And unfortunately, me and my sister would witness how they talk to each other. We would see just their interactions. Then my dad remarries, and then that goes completely downhill as well. So then I see another marriage completely fall apart. So you can probably imagine my viewpoint on marriage was really bad, to the point where I literally said that I did not want to get married. And what else comes with marriage? Children. So right along with that, I would say, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. That was my thing. And you'll see that it affected me for a very long time, up until like the last year. But I did not want to get married and I did not want to have kids because I seen how a broken home affected people. I seen how it affected the kids. I seen how the dynamic of everything just was off. Like I didn't know what a healthy family dynamic looked like. And I was like, I don't want this to happen to me. So I'm just not gonna get married. I'm not gonna have kids. That was my thing. I would literally say, if this is what I have to look forward to, then I don't want any parts of it. I'll just be alone for the rest of my life and I'll be successful. I'll be happy. I'll have money. I'll have this. I'll have that. That was literally my mindset when I was a preteen into teenage years. Like I literally thought that I was not gonna get married and I was just gonna go off and be on my own. Never really talk to my family again because I just wanted to separate myself from everything. But the Lord had other plans, of course. So I met my husband when I was a teenager. I was in the 8th grade when I met him, but we didn't become boyfriend and girlfriend until we were in the 9th grade. So that was one of those things that personally, I had no interest in anybody. I was just mean and like cold and I just didn't want to talk to anybody, but it was something about him that I kind of let my guard down for. And now I'm looking back and I believe that was the Lord. That was the Lord bringing him into my life because he is the one who introduced me to the God that I love so much now. Although I grew up in church, I had no relationship. I didn't know that was even possible. The church atmosphere was very toxic. It was about what was going on in the church. It was all this drama and scandal and all these things. I seen how the church operated. So just like me watching my parents split up and argue and all these things, when it came to the church, I was like, well, I don't want to be a Christian. I don't want nothing to do with that either because all I seen was what I seen. And I thought that that's what it was. So I just didn't want to hear anything about Christianity or going to church or anything like that because I had seen what I seen in the church. And I was just like, I don't want nothing to do with that, to be honest. So like I said, I met my husband at a very young age, and I believe that the Lord predestined that to happen because of where I am today. He knew that I was hurt, I was angry. So I can only imagine the love that I would have seeked out had I not met my husband at that age. I would have probably been, who knows, Lord, who knows where I would have ended up because I didn't get that love from my father. I didn't feel that love from my mother. So I may have seeked it out in other places had I not met my husband when I was a teenager. So then when I met my husband, I low-key was like, dang, I could kind of see myself getting married. I could kind of see myself having kids, but I was a kid when all this was happening. So realistically, I was like, well, maybe this is just, puppy love. This is just how I feel. So I'm not going to take it too seriously because I'm a child. Like I'm a child, basically. I didn't think too deep into it. It didn't completely shift my mind. It didn't completely change my mindset about getting married and having kids. I just somewhat entertained the idea because I actually was in love with my boyfriend. So as some of you may know, or most of you may know, I joined the military fresh out of high school. So when I did that, I did go off to New Jersey. My boyfriend, now husband at the time, he went off to California. So that was very interesting. We had a long distance relationship. It was rough. Okay. It was very rough. And then we ended up getting married and then he got relocated to Jersey so we could be together, obviously. And we got married December 30th, 2015. Literally, it was only one day left in the year and we went off and got married. And that was that. So once he was physically where I was at, obviously we were spending a lot more time together. Before before. We were like taking leave every so often to see each other. Throughout all of this time, I feel like this is necessary to mention because of the topic of this video, I was on birth control. So I was on birth control for pretty much my entire, I don't want to say adult life because that's not necessarily true, but as soon as I joined the military, it was like one of those things where they like offered it up and I was just like, okay, well, I guess so. So I was on it pretty much my entire time in the military, which was 6 years. So I was on birth control. I never had any issues with birth control personally at the time. It wasn't until I got a little bit older that birth control was just a no. I completely am against birth control now, but at the time, I didn't have any issues with it. When I did get out of the military, it was it was December 2018, and I officially got out of the military January 2019. Because I had a lot of leave saved up, I was able to get out like a month and a half early. So I got out to pursue what I'm doing now. That is the reason for why I got out. I seen the potential at the time, and this was in 2018, like I said, and I had started before then. I actually started YouTube and posting on Instagram in like 2015. So I had seen the trajectory of where like social media influencing was headed. I seen the possibilities. I started to make more money off of what I was doing outside of the military. So it only made sense at that point for me to get out. I was like, I'm just gonna get out. So I got out. So throughout the years of our adulthood, like I said, I was on birth control the entire time. In those years, of course, my husband and I would talk about kids. He would bring up the topic and I would kind of shut it down a little bit. I would entertain the idea, but I wasn't necessarily like on one side or the other. I was more so on one side than the other. I was more so on the side of not having kids than having kids because of what I experienced growing up. But for the most part, it wasn't anything that caused any sort of like argument or disagreement. It would just be a very innocent conversation, but I realized how I felt in those moments. I was like, dang, I can't even say for sure if this is something that I want. I had my moments, but because I was so up and down about it, I knew that it was not something that I truly wanted. So I was actually scared that that may be the demise and the downfall of our relationship. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, because that's a big thing. Before you even get married, that's something that you should know about you and your partner. Like, don't go into something thinking that you can change that person or thinking that you can do anything. Ultimately, the only reason why I'm here today is because of God. It was nobody else's doing. No one changed my mind. No one could heal my heart. No one could do any of those things except for the Lord. It's not going to change unless someone who can change anything and can fix anything and can heal anything intervenes. And if your relationship is not built on that foundation, which I'm not going to lie, me and my husband's was not. I did not know God. I did not know Jesus. When we met each other, he had a relationship, I did not. So we were definitely not on the same page in regards to that, but the Lord can restore. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. So January comes, I get out, I'm super excited because I'm getting out to pursue influencing. At the time, it was not necessarily called influencing. I just knew that what I was doing was generating more income than the military was. So it only made sense for me to get out and pursue that. So that's what I did. A few months later, my husband is off. He's at like some training. He's in North Carolina, I believe. He was in a completely different state. I was in New Jersey. And I would wake up every morning and I just felt like crap. I felt like crap. I was like, what is wrong with me? Why do I just feel like I want to throw up every time I get up? I felt so dizzy, so nauseous. I would just sit in front of the toilet, but nothing would come out. So I reached out to my husband and I was like, something is wrong with me. Like, I don't know what's going on. And he was the one who jokingly suggested that I was pregnant. And I was like, I'm not pregnant. Because like I said, I had been on birth control for so long that when I did get out, I stopped taking it because my prescription was no longer active because I wasn't in the military anymore. So I couldn't go on base and just get my prescription filled and come home and take the pills. Like, there was a gap in between me getting out and me not having my prescription. And then I realized, I was like, oh wait, I actually could be pregnant because I'm not taking birth control anymore. I no longer have a prescription because I'm not in the military anymore. So I take a test and lo and behold, I am pregnant. I am pregnant, and I'm not gonna lie, my first instinct, I was upset. I was angry. I was not happy. I was not happy about it. Like I said, I had just gotten out of the military to pursue my career in influencing, which at the time, like I said, it was not called that, but I was like, I can't, this completely ruins everything. And because I had that mindset about not wanting to have kids, I was like, my life is over. My life is over. I cannot pursue this career and be pregnant. Now we know that that is completely not the case. We know that it's never been the case. It's always possible to go on and have a life after having children. Your life is not over. If anything, it just began when you have kids, because now you're a new person. You are taking care of a human being. Like, your life is not going to be the same, but not in a bad way, in a good way. Now I understand that. But back then, I truly believe that everything would have been over had I had that baby. And I'm trying not to get emotional because, like I said, I think I'm more so saddened and grieved by how I felt back then. I felt nothing. I felt nothing about it. I literally was just like, I can't have this baby. And of course, well, you guys don't know this, but my husband was completely against it. My husband was very, very, very upset to hear me say that I did not want to have this baby. And I think about his reaction and it breaks my heart. Like, it truly breaks my heart. So I was like, I can't have this baby. I can't. I literally can't have this baby. And he was just like, yes, you can. Like, we can do this. Like, we can do this. So I started to say, like, okay, well, maybe we can. Maybe we can do this. Maybe this is going to be possible. Maybe all these maybes. And then it completely turned into, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. So I think we know what happens next. I make an appointment at a clinic nearby. My husband comes back from his training and he was not happy. I can't say that I was happy about it. Of course I wasn't happy about it, but I also didn't feel any type of way about it. I literally thought that it was just, if you don't want the kid, you get rid of it. Like, that's how I used to think. And at the time, like I said, I had absolutely no knowledge of having a relationship with God, nor did I know how God felt about that, nor did I know what I was truly doing, but I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. I did have some shame behind it because I didn't want anyone to know. I knew that it was something that wasn't necessarily like glorified, but I also didn't feel a type of way about doing it. And I think recently that's what I've been so heartbroken about and grieved about, because I think about how I felt, like my heart. My husband comes back. He goes with me to the appointment. It was a very somber day. We kind of just drove to the clinic. It was very quiet in the car. It wasn't really much to say. I went in there and it was like 3 other girls in there. At the time I was 25 and the girls that were in the office had to be like teenagers. And I remember like that breaking my heart as well. Seeing other people in there, like this was something that was just so casual. I went to the back. It was a male doctor with a female assistant and I got the surgical procedure done. I just remember him like talking to me and he was asking me questions like, well, why don't you want to have this baby? And at the time, I don't know why I felt like that was super invasive, but I mean, here I am on the table with my legs spread open and he's removing the baby from me. So I'm like, well, I mean, the questions can't get any more personal than how I am in here right now. So I was just like, I don't know, I'm just not ready. And that's all I said because I didn't know what to say. The procedure was like 30 minutes, something like that. And then I just had to sit there for a little while to recover. I got up, went home. And to be honest, the rest of that day around that time frame is just a blur. I feel like I was a little numb after that. I didn't really process what I had done. I just kind of moved on from it. I literally just moved on from it. And I could kind of tell that it was affecting my relationship with my husband because he was not happy about that, of course. I just felt like, well, this is my body. This is what I want to do because I'm going to be the one who's affected when I want to go off and do what I got to do for my job and I'm not able to, or just using this career, which now that I see, now that I'm here at this point with my relationship with God, this career, my profession, what I do, influencing means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing. My life means absolutely nothing without God. All of these years, I don't know what I was chasing after, but it was just empty. It was so empty. I'm getting off track. But I think recently I've been having moments of realizing that I would have a 7-year-old, that I would have a whole child. And that's what's been like breaking me up, just eating me up inside. And I have been praying to the Lord to give me peace. And he has reminded me that that child is with him and that He has forgiven me, and that there is no condemnation in Christ Jesus, and I don't have to wallow and beat myself up about this. But like I said, because I didn't process this back when it happened, I feel like I'm processing and grieving it today. And it's been very heavy. It's like random moments of just tears, random moments of just sadness, random moments of just feeling heavy because I'm thinking about it, or because I see something and it kind of triggers me a little bit. And I'm just like, so that's why it's been so hard for me to get on camera to record this video, because I was like, Lord, I don't even know what to say. I didn't even process this back when it happened. So you want me to get on camera and talk about something, and I don't even know what to say. But as the weeks went by, which is why I haven't posted in like 3 weeks, every day I feel like the Lord was comforting me. So I think that this is actually the perfect time to record this because of how I've processed it over the last few weeks. Now we're gonna move on to another portion of what has happened in the past with me in regards to pregnancy. And this right here is also something that I didn't process. So it's like I'm processing the both of these things at the same time, and it's really, really hard. But fast forward to 2021. Now me and my husband are no longer in New Jersey. We are now stationed in Corpus Christi. I'm officially out. I've been out for years now, and my husband got relocated to Corpus Christi, which is in Texas. So when we got to Corpus Christi, obviously we don't know anyone there. It's just us two. We're living in this house, and it's like life is okay. That was the beginning of COVID, so it was pretty rough. Life literally changed in an instant. As soon as we got there, COVID started. So it was a big adjustment, a huge adjustment. And a lot of things started to happen when we first got to Corpus with my health. I feel like that's when my health was just not at its best. The entire time that we were there, my health, that's where I went through the most with my health. And I don't know what that was about. I truly believe that it may have had something to do with all of the pain and anger that I had, that I was holding in, and just the isolation, like all of these things built up, and it started to take a toll on my body. So while I was there, of course, I go to the doctor every so often. I go to the dentist. Like with the military benefits, I'm going to see like the doctors on base and off base and all of this. So as a woman, of course, you go to your routine checkups. One day I just go to a routine checkup. I go to my gynecologist, and she's doing, I believe, a pap smear and just getting some blood work. Very normal. She comes back in the room. I'm laying on the table, and she's like, "You're pregnant." And I was like actually genuinely confused. Mind you, my husband was out of town again. He was at a training. I don't remember where. I want to say California at the time. I believe it was California, 29 Palms, something like that. But my husband was not there this time as well. I don't know what that's about, but he was not in town when I found out I was pregnant the second time. So I was like, "Are you sure?" She was like, "Yeah, you're pregnant." Okay, this is a lot right now. So I leave my appointment. I go home, and she tells me to go on base, get blood work done to confirm. So I go on base. I see my primary, and she calls me. I get home, she calls me, and she's like, "Yeah, you're pregnant." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I called my husband and I tell him. Mind you, I had went to the store and got pregnancy tests and everything, and it said that I was pregnant. And I was like, okay, I have heard this from 2 other outside sources, and I've done like 2 pregnancy tests, and everything says that I'm pregnant. So I guess I'm pregnant. So I was like, all right, well, let me tell my husband. I call my husband, I tell him I'm pregnant, and he's just like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, very serious, very serious. My primary confirmed it. My gynecologist confirmed it. I've taken 2 pregnancy tests, and they both came back positive. So he's like, "Why does this always happen? Why do I always find out that you're pregnant when I'm not even home? Like I'm not even in the same state." So then I feel a little off. And I remember I think it was a Saturday. So mind you, this is Friday and Saturday, all in the matter of 48 hours. I go to urgent care because I was feeling a little off. So I go to urgent care because the on-base medical office is not open on the weekends. I get some more blood work done because it's just natural. I did a urine test, all of the things that you naturally do when you go get seen. And I told the doctor before he got the blood work and the urine that I just found out that I was pregnant yesterday. So he comes back in the room and he's like, "Yeah, you're not pregnant." And I still remember how he said it. I still remember his demeanor. I still remember just that whole interaction. It was very insensitive. It was very cold. It was just like, I don't know what that was about, but he literally came back in the room and he was just like, "Yeah, you're not pregnant." And I was like, confused because yesterday I was told by 2 people that I was pregnant. I took 2 pregnancy tests and they came back positive. Now it's the next day and I'm no longer pregnant. Mind you, when I found out that I was pregnant this time around, I was actually excited. I was actually like, wow, like I'm pregnant. I was scared, I was nervous, but I did not feel this the first time. So I was like, wow, like the idea of having a child, I was excited. And it was one of those things that I had not even thought about. I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have anything to signal that I was pregnant, nothing at all. So as I'm sitting there trying to process it, he was like, well, your HGC levels have gone down. So yesterday, it may have been showing that you were pregnant because your HGC levels were elevated, but they're starting to drop, which means you're no longer pregnant, i.e. you've lost the baby. So I was just like, confused because I was like, well, when did I even get pregnant? When did I even lose the baby? Wouldn't I have known that? I started to think about all these things. So after that, I called my husband and I was like, I'm not pregnant anymore. And he was just like, what are you talking about? I was like, I was feeling off. I was feeling a little weird. So I went in to get some blood work done and they said that I'm not pregnant. And I explained to him the whole HGC level thing and all of that. And I was just like, I was, but I'm not anymore. And he was like, so you lost the baby? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, how do you feel? I was like, I feel fine. I felt completely fine. And when I say I felt a little off, it might have been just in my head. And I believe now that that was the Lord. I truly believe that that was the Lord because after that, everything just started to unravel and we'll get into that in a second. But I wasn't even feeling anything crazy. But because I had just found out that I was pregnant, I was like, well, maybe I should go get seen to make sure I'm okay. But nothing was wrong. All my blood work came back normal. I just was not pregnant anymore. And I truly believe if I didn't go in for that appointment, or not even the appointment, just to go to urgent care, period, I would not have found that out and I could have ended up in a worse off situation. So I tell him that and then I'm like, all right, well, so when Monday comes, I call my gynecologist and I tell her that I'm no longer pregnant. And she was just like, what do you mean? So I'm explaining this to her now. I'm telling her that I was and now I'm not. And she was just like, okay. So I told her the whole HGC level thing and she was like, okay, well then you've miscarried. So I was like, I don't even know when that could have happened. Like, when could that have happened? Like, wouldn't I know? And she was just like, yeah, you would have known. And I started to think, but I really could not think of any moment where this could have happened. So I go into my gyno on Monday. I call her on Monday and she tells me to come in because she's like, we need to figure this out. So I come in, she does a ultrasound, internal ultrasound, I'll say that. She sees that I have a huge mass on my right ovary. So she's like, you have a really large cyst on your right ovary. It's the size of a tennis ball. This thing is huge. We need to get this out of you immediately. So I'm like, so I find out that I'm pregnant. I find out that I'm not. And then I find out that I have a large cyst on my right ovary and I need to get emergency surgery. So I was like, oh, okay, this is a lot. So I call my husband again and I tell him I have to get surgery. So in that, he has to leave his training in California to come be with me because it's just me and him in Corpus and I'm not going to be able to get the surgery if he can't take me. So they let him go and he comes back and it's just like a lot. I feel like just numb throughout this time. I can't remember a whole lot. I just feel like it was one thing after the other. Like I didn't have time to truly grasp what was happening. So I get the surgery and the doctor comes in and she says, everything went well, everything went great. But while I was removing the cyst on your left tube, the fetus was still there. So I had an ectopic pregnancy. And I was like, what is that? So she starts to explain it to me and she says, in my 30 years of dealing with patients, I have delivered thousands of babies. I have done thousands of surgeries. In her 30 years of dealing with ectopic pregnancies, she said that mine was a miracle. And when she said that, I was like, well, what do you mean? And she was like, typically, the baby is lodged in the fallopian tube. So they either have to cut the fallopian tube or it causes some damage to the tube that could cause issues down the line. It could cause, sometimes it's even life-threatening. It's just not a good thing when the baby gets stuck in the tube. But she said the baby was right at the end of the tube, like outside of the tube, right at the end. So all she had to do was remove it. And my fallopian tube, my left ovary was completely healthy, completely fine. And I was just sitting there like, I'm sitting here thinking about this now and I want to cry because this past weekend, I believe that this is what the Lord used to comfort me. I was like, what is going on? What is going on? This is like a lot. It was like one thing after the other, one thing after the other. But I'm sitting here as I say all of this and I see God in all of it. I see his hand in all of it. So then as I'm sitting there recovering, I'm literally sitting there recovering. I was just thinking, when did this happen? Like, truly, when did this happen? The fetus never came out. A lot of times, obviously, when you miscarry, it comes out. But it was inside of me for an entire almost 2 months. 2 months. Thank God it was outside of the fallopian tube, because had it been inside, it could have ruptured. I could have had some sort of life-threatening injury. Like, something could have happened if it wasn't where it was at. Then I remembered. And like I said, at this point, I was not saved. I did not have a relationship with God. I did not know him as God the Father. I did not know him at all. I believe that he brought this back to my memory to show me when it happened. So we had went to, I believe, Austin or Dallas or San Antonio. I don't remember which one it was. We stayed in a hotel. I'm 100% sure it was the 4th of July weekend. It was the 4th of July weekend. And we just went there just to go. Just to do something. And we were in the hotel, just like normal. We went to bed. He's knocked out. I'm laying down in the bed, and I am awakened in the middle of the night to the most excruciating cramp that I've ever had in my entire life. Like, ever. And it was one of those like pelvic cramps, like butt cramps. Y'all know those really painful cramps. Like, it was terrible. And I was like, what is going on? I literally woke up out of my sleep in pain. And my husband is knocked out. He's over there snoring. And I'm just like, what is going on? So I lay there for a second, and then I try to get up, and I could barely walk. So I'm like crouched over, crawling to the bathroom. I went in the bathroom, and I was just on the bathroom floor. I was just sitting there, like crouched up on the bathroom floor in a hotel. And I don't know why, but nothing in me was like, wake up your husband, wake up your husband. Because I was like, I'm fine, but I'm not. Like, something is obviously wrong with me right now, but I can handle it. So I was laying on the floor, and then I mustered up the energy to like sit on the toilet. And I just sat there. I sat there for an hour. In excruciating pain. It literally felt like my lower half was being ripped out of me. And I was like, what is going on? But I never woke my husband up. I never woke him up because I thought I was fine, even though I clearly was not fine. I definitely should have been in somebody's emergency room at that very moment, because at that very moment I was miscarrying and I didn't even know. And it was so painful, so painful. And then eventually the pain subsided enough for me to go lay back down, but it was still pretty bad. And I remember the next morning telling my husband about it, and he was so mad. He was like, why didn't you wake me up? Why didn't you wake me up? We could have went to the hospital. We could have went to the ER, like blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm fine. Not realizing what had happened. And I told that to my gynecologist, and she was like, yes, that is when it happened. Those are the typical symptoms of a woman when she is miscarrying. Now, why nothing came out, I don't know. But that was the baby being expelled through the tube. And that's what I was feeling. And that is insane. So you can probably imagine after that how traumatized I was. It's almost as if after that happened, the thought or the idea of having kids went right out the window once again. I had that moment of excitement, that moment of joy inside me when I found out that I was pregnant. And then for all of that to happen in such a short amount of time, I was like, yeah, I don't want kids. So I'm right back there again, deeper into that, because now I'm traumatized and I don't want to go through that again. So me and my husband have been together for over 15 years. And one of those things that always comes up, obviously, is kids. That is always a topic of conversation because we have been married for so long. We've been together for so long. So I believe that people think that maybe we struggle, maybe it's something that we don't want, whatever the case is. And to be honest, up until about this year, the top of this year, I still was on the fence about having kids. But the Lord, thank you, Lord, has revealed to me the hurt and the pain and the trauma behind why I didn't want to have kids in the first place. Obviously, I told you guys that I didn't even want to get married or have kids because of what I seen, the example that I seen growing up. But recently, the Lord revealed to me that I was afraid to become my parents to my own children. I was afraid to have characteristics and parent them in a way where my parents parented me and my sister, that I wouldn't give them the love that they deserved because I didn't get that. And I can't give them what I didn't get, just like they couldn't give me what they didn't get. I know that now. But at the time, I was just like, this can't be how it's supposed to be. Like, I don't know why I feel so neglected. I feel so unloved. Like, I don't know what that is and why that is, but I don't want to pass this on to my own children. So in order to not do that, I just won't have kids. It broke my heart because I love my parents and I know my parents love me, but I know that they were not able to give me what they did not get. And now that I'm in this space that I'm in now, I understand that. And I don't think most of us understand that until we become adults. But I believe that the Lord has truly healed my heart in certain areas and has allowed me to see my parents in a different light and to not blame them for everything and to not make myself the victim, because my parents have been through a lot. I don't know their full stories, but I know that they've been through a lot. They're more than just my parents. They're sisters, their brothers, their daughters, their uncles, their aunts. They have parents. Their parents had parents and grandparents, like all these things. They're more than just my parents. So it's selfish of me to think that that's all they are and that's all that they've ever done in their entire lives. So now I understand that, and I have so much grace for my parents, and I'm so thankful for them, because despite the things that I didn't get, I believe that it was the best that it could have gone because of who I am today. I am so thankful that I turned out the way that I did. That is nobody but God, because I literally could have been way off, way off. Like, you guys ever really sit and think and thank the Lord? Thank the Lord. I always thank the Lord for what I could have gone through based off of what I've gone through. I say that all the time, and I truly sit and think like, thank you, Lord, for protecting me and covering me when I wasn't even thinking about you, when you were the last, if not even a thought on my mind at all, but you were covering me. I look back on my life and I can see all the times he was in a situation. I truly could have ended up on a completely different path, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm thankful because I did get some of these traits and these things from my parents. So when I talk about my parents, I don't want people to think that they were just the worst parents in the whole world. I just felt like I didn't get the love that I wanted, which made me a very cold, very mean, very angry person. It made it very hard for me to receive love. So the beginning of me and my husband's relationship was very, very, very rough. He wanted to hug me. He wanted to be affectionate with me. Obviously, he wanted to kiss me and all these things. And I would just like cringe up and curl up and just be like, ugh, like I would be uncomfortable, just all of these things. And I know that now comes from the fact that I didn't receive that. So it was hard for me to receive it when it actually came to me through my husband. So like I said, up until honestly this year, I believe that the Lord has healed my heart in certain areas, and he has even given me the desire to want to have children. And I'm so thankful, because there is no question. There's absolutely no question about it. If you're watching this video and you feel like you've done something, you're too far gone, you've done too much, you feel like the worst person because of something you did, or whatever the case may be, I just want to let you know that the Lord can and will forgive you. You are not too far gone. Do not allow the enemy to pull you further away from God. This is the time for you to draw in closer to him. You may feel ashamed. You may feel guilt. You may feel like you can't face him, but this is when you need to really, really dive in and be in his presence. And if you don't know him and you're watching this video and you feel like you've done too much and you're unredeemable, unforgivable, I just want to let you know that that is not true. The Lord has forgiven me. I thought I was gonna make it through this whole video without crying. I'm only trying not to cry because I want to make it through this video. It has nothing to do with me not wanting to cry on camera. I will literally boo-hoo on camera right now, but I want to make it through this video for you guys. So God will and can forgive you. He has forgiven me. I've repented for this. Repent, okay? Repent and turn back to God. Do not allow shame and guilt to keep you away from God, because he loves you. And that is the whole point of this video, because I felt a lot of shame, a lot of guilt before recording this video, because I was worried about what people would think, what my family would think, because nobody knows this except for my husband, me, and God. So, but then I realized that it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about whoever is watching this video that needs to hear this. Although I feel the way that I feel, the way you may feel about your situation, you may be beating yourself up, you may be allowing the enemy to get in your head and wreak havoc just know that God will forgive you. He has given me a heart of flesh. When I tell you guys, I have never cried so much in my life. I literally was saying to my husband the other day, I've cried more this year than I have in my entire life. And that's coming from someone who was just bottling up everything, who was so hurt and so angry. I just didn't care, honestly, about a lot of things. But now I cry all the time. And that is evidence that the Lord is truly, truly healing my heart, softening my heart to a lot of things. And that in itself makes me emotional because I was so mean, you guys. I was so angry. And now I just feel like free. I feel joy a lot. I feel peace a lot. I'm not angry anymore. So if you're watching this, I just want to let you know you're not too far. God loves you, and just return to him. And if you don't know him, it's the best decision you'll ever make. All right, you guys, so that is why I don't have children yet. But I'm looking forward to that chapter. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be a mother. And I believe that it was the grace of God that I don't have kids yet. Because a long time ago, I heard, as clear as day, that it ends with me. And I believe if I had kids already, I could have passed down some things that I didn't intend to. So I believe it was the grace of God that I do not have kids yet, because he was trying to get me to this point so that I can be the curse breaker of my family, of anything that I could have passed down to my children that I got from my parents and they got from their parents. And growing up and raising up my children to know the Lord. And now I get teach my kids about him. And I know that my husband would have, because he grew up with a relationship with God. But now I'm in a space, thank God. And my husband would say to me when I first got saved, he was so emotional because he's seeing an answered prayer. Everything that's happening in me and through me is what he's prayed about for the last 15 years. And I'm just so thankful that I'm here, and all the stuff that I went through, I had to go through. And I pray that this blesses someone, that this helps someone, that this frees someone. So I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.